What's going on, guys? The Big Bad Wolf Benny here. Welcome to the Comic Book Corner. I told you last episode I'd have a special guest. Paul Phoenix is back because he loves comics as much as I do. And we couldn't decide on a certain storyline, so we decided to do an episode I already did. In fact, it was episode number 1 on the Comic Book Corner, so if you've been around for the whole year that we've been active and you've seen all my comic book corners, this is episode 1 of the Comic Book Corner. Marvel Universe against DC Universe. And this is in the 90s, so everybody's got terrible haircuts for some reason. So, we're not going to tell you the whole story again because I already did it. We're going to touch on who would actually win in the fight, not based on fanfare, but power-wise and skill-wise. So, the first fight we're going to talk about is going to be Aquaman against the Submariner, Namor. Now, in the comics, they had Aquaman do it, and they kind of had it where it was, if you got where you couldn't get up in a certain amount of time, or, you lost. So Aquaman outsmarted Namor and had a giant whale, an orca, jump on Namor, and he couldn't get up, so he lost. Who would actually win in the fight? I'm still going to stick with Submariner. I don't know what Paul Phoenix is going to say, but Submariner is as strong as a calm Hulk, and he only gets stronger in the water, so if they stay in the water, he's going to stay as strong as he could possibly be. Plus, he could fly.
I'm going with Aquaman. Because this is the 90s. This Aquaman went through all the changes that, the death of Superman, breaking of Batman's back. This Aquaman had his hand eaten off by Piranha and replaced with a trident that he could shoot out with a pretty strong rope.
Well, they say unbreakable, but like I say in the comics, nothing's unbreakable.
And this was a pretty ruthless Aquaman. And they were also expanding out his powers. It wasn't just to talk to fish with his telepathy. He was being able to affect brain structure because of it being water-based. So I'm going with Aquaman here. And he could also fly at this time, if I remember.
He might have been able to, actually. Only reason why I'm going to say Namor is if he's such, he's Imperatus Rex, as he likes to call himself, Marvel's first mutant. His brain might be a higher function where it wouldn't be affected by Aquaman, maybe. See, we don't have the science to back it up. So this is one of those where we're going to need you, yes, you, to tell us below who do you think is right. So right now, we're going to go...
I got one more point here about Aquaman. Because the thing about Submariner, he's a prideful... That's his downfall every fight. Yeah. Every time he gets his ass beat, it's because of his pride.
It's true. So Aquaman, all he has to do is take advantage of that. But at the same time, Aquaman can be kind of prideful too. So I think that's the perfect matchup. I like how they did match up everybody like that. Like I said, I'm still going just because he's got the superior strength and endurance and all that stuff. But like I said, guys, right now, nobody's tied up, nobody's winning yet. Let us know down below what you think in the comments. Let us know who's right. Is it your boy, the Big Bad Wolf, or is it the Phoenix over here? Let us know in the comments.
Next fight is Catwoman versus Elektra. The 90s, quote-unquote, bad girls, the ultimate bad girls for their 2 universes. They fought and was...
Elektra ended up winning.
Elektra won after she cut Catwoman's whip and dropped her, but Catwoman was saved in back of a dump truck of sand.
She didn't die. Returns. Yeah, she didn't die, but she was incapacitated. So Elektra got the win. At this point in the comics, I think Elektra technically has superior strength and stuff like that just from being resurrected by the Hand so many times. So she might have the ability, all the superhuman abilities that make her a little bit superior to Catwoman. And she's got the skill, too. Catwoman's good. She's really good. I mean, she can go with fight Batman toe-to-toe. But Elektra's actually got more combat experience. And she's willing to kill. Where Catwoman, she's been known to kill in the comics, but not on the levels of Elektra. So I'm going to still say Elektra's going to win.
I'm still going with Elektra, too. Because this was also the Catwoman before the black leather suit. This was the purple bodysuit.
Pretty much Batman the Animated Series looked like.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And, yeah, Elektra, she's also got, low-level latent telepathic powers.
Yeah.
And, yeah, she's an assassin.
So, I mean, again, we're going to agree on this one, so there's no debate. So, Elektra's going to take it. She's just a superior warrior. She got better combat experience, and she does have somewhat supernatural / superpowers. So, sorry, Catwoman. We love you in that suit, but Elektra in that red skimpy outfit, you got me. Next fight, we have the Flash against Quicksilver. Flash vs. Quicksilver, it's tale of his time. It's pretty much Beauty and the Beast. Flash is just faster. He surpasses light speed, where Quicksilver can barely break the speed of sound. So, in the comics, they got it right. The Flash wins. He's just far too fast for the Quicksilver. And I agree. Flash is just too fast. He's got all these additional powers, including the infinite mass punch, which can level Superman. Flash wins this one.
See, for me, it depends on what universe they fight in.
Okay.
They fought in the DC universe, which is why the Flash won. The Flash had access to the
Speed
Force.
I didn't even think of that. If he's in the Marvel universe, he might not have the Speed Force.
He doesn't. The Justice League versus Avengers crossover.
He's right.
There was Flash came over. He was not fast. He was like, yep, no Speed Force here. So it really comes down to what universe are we fighting in.
I'm going to withdraw my previous answer and agree with Paul on that, because no Speed Force equals no win for the Flash. Speed Force with the Flash, he wins. It's just hands down, he's too fast. He is speed. So again, I'm going to agree with Paul. So sorry guys, but I mean, he's right. I didn't think about the Speed Force being in the Marvel universe. It doesn't exist.
Right.
So I don't think. I know he was fast in the Marvel universe, but I think he was like about the same as Quicksilver, maybe a little bit slower. Just because it's in the Marvel universe, they will make Quicksilver look better. So again, we're trying to be fair. So again, I think you'll agree with me. If he has the Speed Force, he wins.
Yes.
Okay, so again, we're going to agree on that then. If he has the Speed Force, the Flash wins. Without it, it just depends on how fast they decide to make him. So let's move right along to Robin against Jubilee. In the comics, they gave it to Robin because he pretty much just outsmarted her, and she was even saying in the fight, well, you don't have powers, it doesn't seem fair. He's like, I don't need them. He didn't. And he pretty much just tangled her up, and she was incapacitated. He won, and then they made out. And now, if they were going out, who'd win? I'm still going to say Robin.
Yeah.
Simply because Jubilee, the one they used, she was a little bit older. She wasn't that little teenage girl from the X-Men animated series. She had a little bit more experience. I would say it's like...
It was the Generation X.
Yes. So she's got a little bit more experience, but she's never had to go up against somebody like Robin, who can stick to the shadows, basically a ninja. She's never had to fight anybody like that. It's always been power-based, so she's always been able to use her fireworks, her plasma discharges to fight. So I think it would play out similar no matter what. That Robin would just kind of use the similar tactics, but if he really wanted to, he could kill her.
Well, that Robin doesn't kill.
No, Tim Drake don't kill, but if he had to, he could have.
Right, yeah, it's Robin all the way.
Yeah, sorry, Jubilee. We love you, but...
Yeah, there's a reason Tim Drake was, to me, the best Robin. He was the most well-rounded. He was a detective on par with Batman.
I mean, Ra's al Ghul literally... It's the only he only calls Batman detective, and then he actually bestowed that upon Tim Drake because he was just as good, if not better, than Batman.
Right.
I think he is the most well-rounded. He's the best tech-savvy. He's got all the same abilities, like Olympic-level acrobatics as everybody. I mean, everybody will say Dick Grayson. Well, he's the first. He's got a soft spot in your heart. But the only thing I will give Dick Grayson is he might be a better team leader, and he might be the best acrobat in the DC universe, but I wouldn't necessarily say that's enough to be the best Robin.
Dick Grayson has that going for him, but he's not the best detective. No.
It's definitely Tim Drake. If there was going to be a successor based on detective-wise and stuff like that, Tim Drake takes it all the way.
Yeah, because wasn't Tim the one that found Batman after
He pretty
Final
much did,
Crisis?
dude. Yeah.
When Batman was dead and lost in time.
Literally, how Tim Drake became the next Robin was he noticed that Robin Dick Grayson, did a quadruple somersault, which the only 3 people in the world who could do it were the Graysons. Well, 2 of those 3 are dead, so it's not really hard to figure out, so good for you, Tim. Alright, moving right along.
We've got Green Lantern, which is the Kyle Rayner version of Green Lantern, versus the Silver Surfer.
In the comics, they gave it to Silver Surfer. How I think it would go? That's a tough call. Silver Surfer's pretty OP as it is, having the power cosmic. But Kyle Rayner is technically one of the most powerful Green Lanterns. You know, I mean, he became the first White Lantern. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
He was Ion, the torchbearer for the Green Lantern.
So, I mean,
he had the entity of the Green Lanterns in him.
That's really hard to decide. So basically, it's the power cosmic against the power of will. I'm going to give it to the Silver Surfer if it's Kyle Rayner before he gets the power of Ion or before he becomes a White Lantern. But if he gets the power of Ion and he's starting to get the power of the White Lantern, I think it'd be a draw. But the version they used, I think, is when he first got the ring, so he doesn't have these capacities yet.
Yeah, he didn't have that much experience.
So I'm still going to give it to Silver Surfer just because not only does he have the experience, but he has full access to his full power, where Kyle Rayner has just the basic Green Lantern abilities at this point.
Right. And the other thing with Silver Surfer is he just has to outlast the charge on the ring.
Pretty much, because Silver Surfer doesn't run out. He doesn't need to eat, doesn't need to sleep.
Yeah.
He's basically a tireless being. So, I mean...
Yeah, as much as I love Kyle...
And Kyle is he's probably my favorite Green Lantern. He really is. I mean, he's a close... Hal Jordan's a close second, but... Kyle Rayner, I like just the way his costume looked, and I just liked his personality. And him being an artist, I think that made his constructs a little bit more articulate, so they might have been a little bit stronger. So,
and he was one of the first ones to be able to get around the yellow weakness.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, it's a tough choice, but if we're going off of that, it being Kyle Rayner just getting the ring, Silver Surfer's going to take him. His power is just too immense. It's pretty much infinite at this point, where Kyle Rayner is kind of drawn to, if my ring runs out in battle, he's screwed. Again, though, if he gets the power of Ion, which is pretty much the embodiment of will in the universe, he could probably go toe-to-toe with Silver Surfer. Might even beat him, but I think it'd still be kind of a stalemate. They just go back and forth, never running out of energy.
Yeah.
But in this version, we're going to give it to the Silver Surfer, so the story was true. So, not too much to argue about. So next we have... Shazam! Against Thor. This is a good battle.
Yeah.
Really good battle. None of the comics, they gave it to Thor. It was, again, he was able to incapacitate Billy Batson, not Captain Marvel, Shazam, Billy Batson.
Well, kind of.
Kind of. He was able to stop the Thunderbolt so Billy Batson couldn't change into Captain.
Right.
So, who would I think would win? I mean, they're basically the same character, just different universes. I mean, they both go up against the biggest, strongest guys in their universe, a.k.a. Superman or the Hulk, and they're able to go toe-to-toe with them to an extent. Thor, being the god of thunder, though, I think he would be able to take all the magic that Shazam throws at him, absorb it into Mjolnir, and make himself stronger, or just wouldn't have an effect on him. And then I think he's a better hand-to-hand combatant than, Shazam, even though he has the courage of Achilles and the wisdom of Solomon to know how to fight better and stuff like that. So it's a tough call, but I'm still going to give it to Thor, just simply based on that any magical projectile, which would be electrical in its nature, would be absorbed by Thor.
Yeah, at this point in the comics, that version of Shazam and that version of Thor, I kind of go more towards Shazam. I think he might out-strategize Thor. Thor has never been known to be...
No, he kind of just goes in,
yeah.
I'm Thor. All right, guys, so we have another disagreement here. So you hit us up down below who you think is right. Paul still got a little bit more, but I'm not changing my mind, so...
But now what if we up their powers? What if we go after the Wizard's gone and Billy gets the full Shazam, and
Thor gets
the Odin Force?
That's interesting.
Because Shazam is one of the Lords of Order of the DC universe.
It's pretty much, if you know who Dr. Fate is, he's a Dr. Fate pretty much.
Except Dr. Fate is chaos.
Yeah. Oh well. But I don't know, because I mean, the Olden Force, like we've seen Old Man Thor, pretty much, Olden Force Thor, being able to OP even Galactus, Thanos, Mephisto, and I mean these are big hitters. If we could add Dormammu to that list, it'd be really impressive.
I mean, he recreated Asgard in the middle of Oklahoma once with the Odin Force.
So, I mean, that's pretty impressive, but we've never actually got to see the full extent of Shazam's powers.
True.
So, I'm still going to stick with Thor, solely based on we know what he can do full power, and we don't know what Shazam can do full power. So that's what's a little scary, is we don't know the full extent of Shazam's powers.
So didn't Shazam go toe-to-toe with the Spectre? Isn't that how he was killed? During one of the crises?
It might have been in one of the crises. We'd have to check it out. I would say, if he can go toe-to-toe with the Spectre, then I put him right up there with the Odin Force. So it might be a draw.
Yeah.
If they're that powerful, it might be a draw. But since we're not 100% on Shazam and we know the full extent of Thor, I'm still sticking with Thor.
And to give you an idea of what the Spectre is, he's basically the the living embodiment of God's will, or God's wrath. Sorry.
Yes, vengeance.
So powerful.
So think Batman, but God's powers. Yes. So, anyways, we're at a draw on this one still. So, like I said, hit us up down below. Tell us who you think is right. Tell us who you think is wrong. I don't care what you do. Just let us know so we know for our own sake. Let's see. The big bads, finally. Superman against the Hulk. In the comics, they gave it to Superman, but again, that's kind of a fan thing, and Superman is the poster boy for DC.
Yeah, all these fights are the ones that the fans voted on. So it doesn't necessarily go on their power levels of who won.
No. Now, mind you too, this is Superman with a mullet, so this is after the death of Superman. He fought Doomsday. So when he came back, he wasn't nearly as powerful as he was before. But then again, this Hulk is Professor Hulk, so he's not as powerful as the Savage Hulk because he has the intelligence of Bruce Banner. But the problem was, if he started to lose too much control, he would revert back to Bruce Banner. So the angrier he got, the weaker he got. And this was like a failsafe. So they're using this version. So based on these versions, I would pretty much say they're equal power level. Superman would have probably more of the advantage just because he can fly, the heat vision, the frost breath. But Superman and the speed. And the Hulk, really the only thing he can do, which Superman could probably do, is his thunderclap. The only good thing about that is if Superman's not expecting it with his advanced hearing, it might discombobulate him enough.
Like Wonder Woman did to him.
Where the Hulk could get a couple good punches in that would level him. Another thing is, Superman gets his powers from the sun. Now, gamma radiation, actually this is a science thing, which I'm sorry I have to go so nerdy, but they actually touched on it in Smallville. There were sunspots, which is what causes gamma radiation, that caused Clark Kent in the show, played by Tom Welling, to lose all his powers. So they never really touched on it, so if we're getting really nerdy here, guys, I'm sorry. Could that affect Superman? Possibly. So that's why I said this is probably going to be one of those tougher battles because we can't scientifically accurately prove who would win. So we're just going to go based on their power levels at this point and who we would think would win. Now, you guys know I'm a Hulk fan. I really am. But with this version, like I said, if he reaches a certain point of anger, he reverts back to Bruce Banner. So really all Superman has to do is just him off enough till he reverts back to Bruce Banner, and then, well, he wins. So I have to give this one to, I'm sorry, Hulk, I know I always say you can beat Superman, but Superman in this version wins, solely based on the fact that all he has to do is survive the Hulk's onslaught, him off enough to reverse him back to Bruce Banner, and that's it. He wins. Unless he can get a good knockout blow before that end, which I don't think he can. I'm sorry, I never really liked Professor Hulk. I didn't. I'm sorry. Sorry, Hulk.
Yeah, I don't think it's the Hulk either. Superman's got too many powers.
Got way too many powers. Now, if we were talking World Breaker Hulk, where he pretty much has infinite strength, yeah, the Superman might be faster. He's got all these other powers, but eventually he's going to have to land because he's going to drain all those powers, and World Breaker Hulk's just going to break you. So, but we're not talking about that version. So, again, I think they made the right call with the power sets they were given on this one, giving it to Superman. And I'm sorry, Hulk fans. I know I always say he can beat Superman. Not in this battle.
Next, we've got Superboy, which is the clone of Superman and Lex Luthor from the Reign of the Supermen, when Superman was dead, versus Peter Parker's Spider-Man.
And this was actually the Ben Reilly Spider-Man.
Oh, it was Ben Reilly?
It was the Ben Reilly Spider-Man. So he's a clone too, so I like how they did the clones.
Yeah.
They gave this one to Spider-Man simply because he could outsmart Superman. Or Superboy, sorry, Supes. But this version of Superboy didn't have any Kryptonian powers. All he had was his tactical telekinesis, which could mimic Superman's powers. So he could fly, and he could use telekinesis to lift stuff, and he could create a protective force field around himself. Cool, but it's not the Superboy we know now, who basically has half of the Kryptonian's powers, which, you know, think Young Justice. That version. That's my favorite version of Superboy. So this Superboy is not really on par with Superman. And Spider-Man is fast enough in this, I say, because they give it to Spider-Man, to outsmart him. And yes, I know I said he can form protective force fields, but he has to see the attack coming. If so, Spider-Man gets around him, which he does in the comics, and he kind of uses his webs to electrocute Superboy because he doesn't see it coming. He's still a normal human, so he feels it. Yeah. So, based on these power sets, I'm still going to give it to Spider-Man. And like I said, Spider-Man's the poster boy of Marvel. So the fact that, you know, it was kind of like their version of Superman, so he had to win. He really did. It's like Superman had to win. I'm sorry, it was just going to happen. This is the same thing. Spider-Man was just going to have to win. And like I said, based on their power sets in this story, yes, Spider-Man is a lot stronger than him. He's got his spider sense to warn him when Superboy's coming. So, I mean, yeah, he could dodge him long enough to get in a tricky shot that could pretty much one hit knock out Superboy.
Yeah, I agree with this one, too. This is a Superboy that's inexperienced. This was around the time of the first run of Young Justice, the comic series. Yeah, he was super cocky. And also, since I had forgotten that this was the Ben Reilly Spider-Man, this Spider-Man had more webbing tricks than Peter Parker did. Because this Spider-Man had impact webbing.
And that's pretty much what he used to win.
Yeah, it was like a grenade of webbing that just, once it hit him, blew up and, oh, you can't move for an hour now. As much as you got the tactile telekinesis, you're incapacitated long enough for Spider-Man to get at you.
So again, just based on these power sets, because if we're doing the Young Justice version where he has the near invulnerability and the somewhat strength of Superman, and he's not super fast, but he's fast enough that humans can't keep up with him. He probably would beat Spider-Man if he could catch Spider-Man. But it was, again, that spider sense is so tricky.
It's the spider sense.
It's really hard to decide who would win, just because that spider sense is so tricky. Like, it literally, not only does it warn Peter that there's an attack coming, it actually makes his body move without him knowing it.
Yeah,
so
because I want to say that Spider-Man can get around like Quicksilver with the spider sense.
Oh, yeah. So, again, I think with the Kryptonian powers more, Superboy would have a better chance of finally maybe catching up and hitting him. But with this power set, Spider-Man he beats him. I'm sorry. He's too fast. He's got the spider sense. Superboy's a little too cocky, a little too arrogant. Spider-Man's going to be able to take advantage of that, just based on his foes that he's had to fight throughout the years. All his foes are pretty arrogant, pretty cocky, so he knows how to get around that, beat him.
Yeah, Spider-Man's mouth. That will get Superboy triggered
like that. Oh, God, yeah. Because, I mean, he's literally dissing him. He's like, oh, what are you, his kid brother, his cousin? He's like, I'm a clone. You don't know about that. And Spider-Man's just like, Ben Reilly's like, actually, I kind of do. But, yeah. All right, sorry, bro. So, anyway, moving on. Ooh, this is the big one. You can go ahead and take it.
We've got Batman versus Captain America.
Now, in this comic, they kind of they were fighting for a couple hours nonstop. They were just so evenly matched. And then, like, they don't show you who wins. It's off screen, but they gave it to Captain America. Batman admits it.
They called it a draw. They stopped because they figured out what was going on.
You know what? No, because before that, Batman's like, "Oh, you won." He's like, I don't like that I lost, but
did he?
They did end up being able to figure it out because they came across. I think his name was Ajax or something.
Access.
Access. There you go. So they did give it to Captain America, and if you guys are, you guys watch YouTube all the time, they actually did a death match on Screw Attack, who they said would win. Now, in the comics, we're not talking Marvel Cinematic Universe, because they really made Superman. They really made Captain America a little bit stronger and faster than he really is in the comics. Basically, in the comics, he's pretty much just as strong as Batman. They could both bench press about 1,200 pounds. The only thing that Captain America really have going for him is that his body heals a little bit faster. He might not produce as much fatigue in his muscles and stuff like Batman would, but again, Batman's trained his body so well, so maybe they could go toe-to-toe. And then, Captain America's got his indestructible shield, but Batman's got all his other gadgets. I don't know. I mean, they're both considered some of the best fighters in their universes. This one, I'm going to say, is going to come down to, it's a draw. I'm sorry. I have to say draw because it could go either way. One lucky punch, one lucky move, one good maneuver. And they're both master tacticians. It's really hard to decide.
I give it to Batman.
You're going to give it to Batman solely based on what?
Batman's a dirty player.
That's true.
I mean,
Captain America is a Boy Scout.
Captain America has a code of honor. Batman created the protocols that were in the Tower of Babel story from the JLA, where he devised something to take out every single member of the JLA. He created red kryptonite to go again for Superman that hadn't existed in the DC universe before. He gave Wonder Woman a drug to make her keep hallucinating that she was fighting because he figured out the only way she was going to stop fighting was to give her a heart attack and kill her. He made Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner, blind, so, artists can't see what is he going to construct. He dehydrated Aquaman.
Which makes him weaker, pretty much, so...
Surrounded Martian Manhunter with fire. Or coated him in sulfur, made him keep bursting out into flame in open air, so he's weakness to fire, so... It's Batman because he knows everybody's weakness. He'll figure out Captain America's weakness. He'll exploit it.
So I think I liked your points on that. Let's just base it on this then. He's never met Captain America, so he's got no prep time. So he's just fighting a fighter who's just as good as him and might have a little edge just because of the super soldier serum. So let's just say they got standard. He's got his batarangs, he's got his grappling hook, maybe some smoke bombs. We'll give him nothing else. You're still saying he could beat Cap?
Yes, he'll
figure a way out. Okay.
He'll devise.
He's one of those DC guys. Batman can beat anybody with prep time, and that's okay.
I'm not even just saying prep time. I think he could do it on the fly. Because let's take Batman versus Deathstroke.
Okay, that's fair.
Those two are even matched. And
Deathstroke being a little bit maybe higher because he's got the healing factor and he can use more of his brain.
Right, but Batman still usually figures out a way to win against that.
Alright, so that's fair. So I'm still going to stick with Cap. But, again, so we disagree. Hit us up down below who you agree with. Tell us why. And you know what? We'll give you a shout out in our next episode. Next, we have Lobo against Wolverine. Ooh, this was a doozy. This one they gave to Wolverine. Again, based on the fan stuff. Now, they are pretty similar. They both have healing factors. It's pretty hard to kill them. But Lobo's got the strength level of a Hulk, Superman.
Well, it depends on who's writing.
Again, see, that's the problem with any comic book character. You can say who's writing the story.
Yeah, because Lobo always has these wacky powers that are sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not.
Let's go with the standard Lobo they use in this one. He can't die. He can be incapacitated, but he can't die because heaven and hell don't want him. He's got strength level on par with Superman at this point. Maybe even a little bit more because this is after Superman came back from dying from Doomsday. So Wolverine, like I said, Wolverine's gone up against the Hulk a couple times, most of the time, and he takes those blows and he keeps coming back. So Again, I think this would be a pretty fair fight. I think Wolverine would be able to gut him a little bit faster than Lobo would because Lobo would not be expecting it. And plus, he's never had to deal with adamantium before. So he could throw his little chain hook and Wolverine could cut through it.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if Wolverine had the adamantium at that point.
He does in this story. So we're
okay, so Wolverine's healing factor isn't accelerated without the adamantium there. So, does Lobo have the clone power that he did?
Not at this point in the storyline.
But he could still regenerate from
He can still regenerate, but I don't think he can regenerate as fast as Wolverine. So this is why I would give it to Wolverine, simply based on that. He can heal faster, so he can take a bigger whooping and keep going.
See, it's me. This one, like, I never liked the fight in the comics. It was in a bar. They didn't show anything, like a space bar. All you saw
was them slashing, them punching, and then you see Lobo holding Wolverine's claws, and then all you see all of a sudden Wolverine comes up and he's smoking Lobo's stogie.
Yeah, with some clever one-liners. Cut you, got you.
And then, Lobo uses, space words, which, bastage, which is pretty much so.
Yeah, see, this fight,
if we're going off power sets now with Lobo being able to regenerate from his blood and make clones, he'd probably beat Wolverine solely based on he can make an infinite amount of themselves. But based on this version, I'm going to give it to Wolverine simply based on that Lobo can regenerate, yes, but not as fast as Wolverine.
I'm going to kind of call it a draw on this one. Like I said, it was never a fight I liked, and it just from what you saw of both of them,
it could have got better.
It could have gone either way.
So again, guys, we disagree. Hit us up down below, let us know, and we'll get back to you. Last, but certainly not least, we have Wonder Woman against Storm. Now, fun little thing about this is they did give the fight to Storm. That's fine. But the problem I have with it is Wonder Woman found Thor's hammer, and she was able to lift it. So she actually got some of Thor's powers. So if she would have kept that hammer, I think she would have been easily able to decimate Storm. But she tossed it away. And I think at this point in the comics, Wonder Woman could not fly. Because
she did.
Did she? Because
she could fly. Yeah,
Storm was up in the air and she kept trying to jump at her. Maybe she just kept getting knocked down by the lightning. So all Storm basically did was just kept Thunderbolt, Thunderbolt, Thunderbolt until Wonder Woman passed out and she won. Now, Wonder Woman is just as fast, if not faster than Superman.
It's about as fast.
I'm pretty sure she might take one Thunderbolt, and unless Storm keeps them coming to keep her down, I'm going to say Wonder Woman's going to outmaneuver Storm and get that one knockout punch she needs to beat her. Storm, like I said, Storm's a very powerful character. No Omega-level mutant. Pretty much can control the environment on any planet she goes to. She can actually make her own atmosphere when she's in space. It's been proven. She's done it. So she's very, very powerful, but she's going up against a goddess, pretty much.
Well, she wasn't a goddess at this point.
Not at this point. But she was on par with Superman, so...
Yeah, this was after they started elevating Wonder Woman to be the big three.
Yes. So again, though, based on these power sets, if she's just as fast as Superman, which she should be at this point in the story, unless she's not. If they're not giving her the speed in this story, we have to go back and actually read the 90.
She had speed.
She had speed. So like I said, and Storm didn't keep one Thunderbolt just continuing. She kept throwing multiple ones. So I think she would get hit by maybe one, maybe two until she realized that she could control that. And then she would just be like, oh, it's like a Circe. I got to move fast to get close to her, close that range. So like I said, it'd only take one punch to knock Storm out.
Right.
So I think Wonder Woman could take her. She might take some damage, but I do think she could take Storm.
Yeah, if we're going that point, I'll give it to Wonder Woman. If Wonder Woman had the hammer still, I actually think Storm would have won.
Really?
Storm has more experience controlling the weather.
That's true. She doesn't know how to use these, but she might have them, but she doesn't know how to use them. Okay, that's a fair and very good point.
Especially because, Storm and Thor have discussed like
their lightning, you know,
right.
her lightning was a little bit more like
warm,
and his is more cold.
Yeah,
it's like that whole masculine, feminine thing. So they're touching on some points, and then they make out. That's cool. You know, a god with what people call a goddess in Africa. Hey, that's cool.
Yeah,
Storm's a pretty awesome character though. So I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to dog her, but Wonder Woman just a tad bit overpowered.
But it also depends on where Storm is using her powers. If she's just using lightning, yeah, that's going to be Wonder Woman. But if Storm starts throwing everything else in...
Maybe she makes it foggy so Wonder Woman can't see her.
Fog.
So again, like I said, if Wonder Woman can catch her, she's going to take her out in one punch. Because Storm may be a good fighter, but she doesn't have superhuman abilities to that level. So if Storm plays it smart, and Storm is a very good tactician, so it's very possible it could go either way. I'm just saying, I think if when Wonder Woman does find her, it's going to happen. But no, Storm's a very good tactician, so that's a very good point. If she used all the elements, everything at her disposal, rain, everything,
hurricane force winds. What is Wonder Woman going to do against that?
That's a good point. But like I said, I think it'd just take one punch for Wonder Woman to knock her out.
It's
where Storm,
that one punch.
Yeah, Storm was going to have to really, really push her abilities to the limit to catch her, hit her, repeatedly hit her to keep her down.
But then again, the thing we saw, or talked about earlier, the only way to get rid of Wonder Woman is to give her a heart attack to kill her.
So, yes. Wonder Woman, like I said, I think Wonder Woman's going to take it.
It's going to be Wonder Woman.
It has to be, I'm sorry.
Reluctantly, but Storm's got too much to overcome.
Yes. So that is all the fights. Like I said, we agreed on most of those. We had a couple disagreements. Down below, there's a comment section. Let us know if you think Paul Phoenix is right, or if you think your Big Bad Wolf Benny is right. Either way, we're not going to be hurt by who you choose. We just want to think what you decide. So let us know. Not only will we give you a shout out, but we want to hear why you think we were right. Give us points. All that stuff below. So anyway, guys, we're going to close this episode out because it went long, I know, but when you got two nerds talking about comics, it's going to happen. Nerd! So Paul will be back on my show probably a lot more in the future because I just like arguing with somebody, and since none of you guys want to, I'm going to find a friend. Nerd fight. Nerd fight, yo. So anyway, guys, I am your Big Bad Wolf Benny. This is Paul Phoenix, and we will see you next time on one of our comic book corners or one of our other episodes on Dragonfire Entertainment. Make sure you hit that red button to subscribe. Ring that bell so you know when we have new content out. And as always, guys, thank you for coming out, and we hope to see you next time.
I had a dream I was a vigilant sidekick. My name is Tim, I'm a listener kicker. I had a dream I was a vigilant sidekick. Fighting crime in the streets to